Hello, everybody, and welcome back to CLX Foundry Live. I'm your host, DJ Blue PDX, and of course, joining me live from a very cold studio in Wichita, Kansas, it is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, Zach Hutchinson. Gentlemen, you've got a beautiful box in front of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure do.
That is gorgeous. Do you know what? The only thing that I think might be prettier is the PC that we're giving away to one lucky viewer. And let me tell you how that all works. If you type !GiveHorus in the chat, you'll have a chance of winning this PC. And it is a bulk. It's a bundled item because we've also teamed up with our friends over at Beacon, and Beacon's going to provide not only a Beacon Mix Crate, but also the Beacon mic, which is fantastic. Ivory can even tell you how amazing this is. It's an awesome PC. There's so many different ways to enter to earn yourself more entries, and one of those is codes. Everybody's always asking for codes. So you can find codes on our channels here on Kick and over on Twitch. You can find codes on our social media. That is YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at CLX Gaming. You could find them sometimes maybe in our Discord, discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can also find them in my chats on both the purple and the green. So you want to make sure you're paying attention because every code gets you between 100 and 200 entries per code. So with that being said, we've got a fun project for Paul in Florida. Sorry, inside joke. We've got a thing for Paul in Florida, also known as Florida, and we're going to be putting a bunch of stuff inside this beautiful, beautiful raw case. What are we shoving in there?
All right, so Paul has picked our raw Intel BattleBox Ultimate off our website. So starting out for our processor, we've got the Intel Core i9-14900KF. To cool that, we've got our CLX Crinch 360mm AIO. For our motherboard, we've got the MSI MPG Z790 Edge Wi-Fi. For our memory, we've got 2 sticks of G.Skill DDR5 5600 speed Trident Z. This is the black RGB version. And for our storage options, we've got, starting out, we've got the Samsung 2TB 990 Pro NVMe drive for our main drive. And as a secondary storage, we've got a 4TB Seagate hard disk drive. For our video card, we've got an RTX 4080. And to power all that, we've got a 1000-watt Gigabyte UD 80+ gold fully modular power supply. We've got 10 of our game DS Aeolus case fans going in this, and obviously we've got our beautiful O11 and our raw edition here for our case.
Nice. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be an absolutely fun one. Speaking of fun ones, it is cold across the country right now and around many places in the world. I had turned the snow on because we had our first freeze last night, which was kind of wild. You guys actually got snow.
Yeah, we've got, I don't even know, 5-6 inches maybe. It was a lot. It's a lot for us.
Yes.
So.
By the way, we've got it's a huge shout out to everybody who's in the chat over on the green side. We've got Tortoise, Grab a Rebound. Love that, Grab a Rebound. Saska's in the house. S. Williams. Walk, Kansas. There we are. And of course, fine Nicole here is in the house with Winter, Jeff, and Gage Raider over on the purple side. Scott Wins is in the house. We've got Hill 78. Welcome to the show. Def Warrior Legendary. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Wally is back. Tashio is back. Black 27 is back. This is great. We got the Matcha Show over on the red side along with Sets and AW. So, from this angle, I want to talk about a couple things that are important about this case. This obviously is an O11. It is a full tower. It's the O11 XL. This is like what I have. But from the back here, you can see that there's a large section that is on the left-hand side. It has 2 doors on it because this is what we call a 3/4 case or a 2/3 case. The motherboard doesn't sit directly on the back. So, Paul, where does it sit, and why are those chambers in the back important?
Yeah, so our motherboard sits right here, and this rectangle is obviously for our I/O shield. So this is where the back of our motherboard is going to be. These 2 slots over here, this is for our storage bays, so they can fit 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives. And what's cool about these bays is they are hot swappable. So they come with wires coming out of them, SATA power and SATA data. So we plug those all in. Even if we didn't have any drives going in here, we would still plug them in. That way, if you, the customer, get one of these, you can just slap your drive into one of these trays and slide it in, and it will automatically connect. That way you don't got to worry about running any extra cables or anything like that.
Nice. Nice. I have that and I love it. It does make pulling data off of old drives so much easier.
Yeah, I saw Waugh, Kansas in here. You mentioned that. That's like our meteorologist's last name. I wonder if that's him. That'd be kind of cool. The local meteorologist in the chat.
Maybe you're the local meteorologist could tell me why it's snowing in my studio.
He could. He'd be
Okay. Yeah, it's an absolutely dope case. It's actually really cool. So, as for our motherboard, we've got a beautiful white and black motherboard today. This is an MSI MPG Z790 Edge Wi-Fi board. Now, one of the cool things about this board is it supports up to Bluetooth 5.3 and it has Wi-Fi 6E on it. But let's take a look at those ports because this is where it gets really fun. All right. So we've got obviously our display port and our HDMI port on the very top. As usual, we're not going to be using this. We've got that wonderful NVIDIA graphics card we're coming up with. We've got 4 different USB 3.2 Gen 1s and then 5 3.2 Gen 2s, 4 Type A's, 1 Type C, and the other Type C is a dual. So that means you've got 20 gigs up and down, which is awesome. 2.5 gig LAN port, and of course 7.1 surround sound, including optical out, along with your antenna arrays. I feel like you should be on The Price is Right. Oh, plus we got the little CMOS and clear buttons, so you don't have to get up in your board and touch weird stuff. What up, Greg Wiz? So, Stewed Island is in the house. Now, as far as the processor goes, obviously we're taking this up to the next level. This is a brand new generation of Intel chips, and this is the Intel Core i9-14900KF. That is Kilo Foxtrot. Zach, what does that stand for, and what does that mean?
So the K means it's unlocked, and so which means we can overclock it, and the F is no video. So this doesn't have onboard video. Obviously, we don't need onboard video because we have this awesome 4080 going in it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Gorgeous card. We've got a couple different things to happen here along with getting our... Are we going to go first up to the... Nope. Putting in all the things.
We're doing the
hardware. So this is going to be
AIO.
for... Yeah, this is going to be for our AIO, which is a CLX Quench 360 closed loop liquid cooler. Hey, Zach.
Yes.
What are some best practices when you're installing an AIO on a motherboard?
So we want to make sure that we use the correct hardware. Even if you have an AMD hardware, make sure that it is AM4 or AM5. Those are very two different processors, so they are two different sockets. So you will just want to make sure that you're using the correct hardware. If you get a big box liquid cooler like what we are using here, it will probably come with all of the accoutrement for everything. So just be sure that you read the manual and use the correct stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
right,
for Intel.
Now, as far as applying the thermal paste, you do it a little bit differently because you've changed the way you've done it over the last couple of months. Now you're using this really cool looking spreader. Why is that?
I just like making sure that the whole surface has a very nice layer across it, making it a really nice thin layer. Just with these new processors, I just like being more secure with all of the temperatures that we can get from them. They can become little hot ones.
Speaking of hot ones, we had some good conversation happening over here on the purple side, and Scott Wins says, I'm terrified to overclock my CPU. And Black27 said, isn't overclocking good though? So, Paul, what are some advantages but also risks you take when you're overclocking a CPU?
All right, so with overclocking is pushing the base clock speed past what it comes from the factory as. So what that does is it's going to give you better performance in games, and anything that's using your processor. So the downside of that is it's pushing it past, its regular limits. So it's going to create more heat, which can cause more wear on your processor. If you boost it way too high, you can brick your processor. So really, I wouldn't worry about overclocking your processor if everything's running fine. Typically, I never overclock my processors on my personal computers until they're at like their end of the life and it's time for me to buy a new one. If I'm already going to buy a new one, I might as well push what I got all the way to its limits, get as much life out of it as I can.
If you're going to go get new tires, might as well do some donuts.
Exactly. Yep. That's right. But some people are very comfortable with overclocking. Okay. They know all the risks, so if you're that way, do it. What's up, DJ?
I have no idea what you just said because it sounded like you were getting emotionally slapped around by an Autobot. That's hilarious. I just couldn't. Zach came in fine. You were just all over the place. So I'm assuming that everything you just said was what y'all needed to know. Perfect.
Yep, 100%.
All right. Up next.
You did the big side? Okay.
It's like
NVMe.
There we go. So this is going to be a 1 terabyte Samsung 990 Pro. It is a NVMe M.2, which means it plugs directly onto the motherboard. It's going to go underneath that really cool little white heatsink that you saw him unscrewing earlier. Now, there are some best ideas, like ways to actually install this. So walk us through what it's like, what you need to do to pay attention when you're installing an M.2 for the first time on a board.
So this M.2 on this motherboard here has a heatsink on it. It also has a pad on the bottom of it. So we'll want to make sure that we're peeling off all of our plastic thermal pad covers. Those just make it to where the heat will get transferred a lot better than with them off. So the way I like to do it is just like that, kind of hold it a little bit more parallel with the motherboard instead of upright, and fit your groove in and then just push straight. You don't want to push up like that. That could cause you to snap either the NVMe or do damage to the motherboard. So we'll just slide it in, and this has one of the nice little twist turns, not a screw, so really easy to put on.
Now, Greg was asked a good question. It's, do they all come with the screw for the NVMe or the motherboard?
The screw comes with the motherboard because that is usually where the standoff or whatever your standoff is.
Because some motherboards don't even need one.
Yes.
So, it's kind of like you'd think it would come with the M.2 itself, but it doesn't. So, if you're, building your own PC, keep all that stuff in your motherboard, in your motherboard box.
$32.56.
Very nice. Going on to our memory.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll go ahead and do the roof.
Gonna get our fans on our AIO now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not hearing chimes at all. Tanner asked, could we get the code for the giveaway? Today's code is going to be given out over on the green side. So over on our Kick channel.
Kick.
Well, welcome to the show.
With the code.
Philip Stradusky, good afternoon from snowy Ohio. Hello. Welcome, Ohio, in the house. Yeah, it's, even in Oregon, it was very, very cold. We were talking about that earlier. All right. Greg mentioned he ordered an M.2. It has a pre-built, and that's the question came from. Nice, nice. Oh, Lord.
See a doctor.
And you're out. Right? That is
pro tip.
Here we go. Yeah, have fun with that. And you're gonna get the award today for the fastest fan of the afternoon. Okay. So Scott Wins mentioned I had to take my M.2 screws for my old build because my box of motherboard screws I've been saving from the past builds are missing, and now I need to run unraid on my old systems. Look, I need screws again. Oh. Yeah, now that's something that that's interesting to talk about raids, like raid arrays.
Yeah.
What are those, and how do they work, and why aren't we seeing them as often anymore?
So a RAID array is basically providing you with different levels of redundancy in your system. Typically you see them in like servers. It's not really common in a desktop machine. I think probably another reason we're not seeing it super often is the storage options have just gotten so much larger for like one drive. So you don't see as many like multiple hard drive systems as you do anymore. Kind of like how you don't get an optical drive with your PC anymore. It's just kind of obsolete now. Now there's definitely cases where RAID is still for sure a good thing, but we're seeing it a lot less and less in the average desktop machine.
And that was, that provided a very interesting way of ensuring that you had data backup, but also you had a faster throughput.
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting. All right, now we got that motherboard on there. You can see what we meant when we were talking about how this is like a 2/3 build or 1/4 build on this, because you see that ramp up with those grommets on that side shot right there. That's where the cables are going to go back through into that empty area in the back, and it's going to allow for us to hide a lot more of the cabling. So it also keeps the heat from the power supply unit out of the main portion of the case. Okay, getting that all on there. Of course, that screws in down to the standoffs.
Yep. So these are our taller posts for anti-sag bracket. So that's what
Gotcha.
Zach's screwing in right now. That's why you can see they look a little taller. Pretty nice way to do an anti-sag bracket because this is actually mounting it to the frame of the chassis.
Creepy Old Man says, Predator mounts is taking forever to accept or ship your order. Are there any equivalent HOTAS mounts that meet the same price range and standards? That is something I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm not familiar with the HOTAS peripherals or anything like that.
BT Dubs, guess what? There's a code that's been dropped in the green chat. Wow, it is Horus-JHQY. That is John Henry Quigley. Yo. There we go. There we go. There we go. Of course, if you want to get that, those codes are going to be listed over in our chat today. It'll be over on the purple side on Thursdays. There we go. All right, getting that all screwed in and mounted in. Looking good. Now, we did see earlier the fans being mounted to that radiator. Paul, which is the best way to orient your radiator, and what's the best way to cool it?
So the way we have these is the preferred method. So we got our fans in this orientation. Since the fan grill isn't here, air is going to be coming in this way and being pushed through the radiator and out the back. This is the push method, obviously, because we're pushing air through it. This is the preferred method. If you're building a PC at home and you're in a situation where the case has to have the fans on the other side pulling air through, that's okay. It's just not quite as efficient as using the push method. Another thing you can do, if you've got enough fans and room in your case, you can put fans on both sides of the radiator. Just make sure they're blowing in the same direction. And that is the push-pull method, which does provide even better cooling. It's just not as common as having your fans on one side.
Yeah.
But Paul,
Yep.
I'm wanting to overclock my system.
That's the
push-pull method can help you out.
So, and it's funny because we were talking before we got on stream today about overclocking, because I have a 13900 KF, and I was looking at, there's the AI overclocking. There's different software coming from multiple different creators. So do you want to get the overclocking that is for your board?
Like if you're using like an AI overclock?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually going to be like our motherboard tool. It's not something that I would do personally, but if you want to,
Right.
it's there.
Yeah, and yeah, Paul said that to me, and I'm like, all right, we're not using it.
Yeah. No.
Granted, I don't think I've reached a point where my CPU has actually been higher than probably 50 or 60% usage. And that's the middle of some heavy gaming. The GPU, however, now I did overclock that, and that's banging right now, which is awesome. I know that Scott Wins also did that. Wally does ask a really, really good question back around the issue of thermal paste. It says, so what's the best way to apply thermal paste on the CPU? X, a dot in the middle, or a different method?
That is a good question. So depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different answer for that. That being said, probably the best, most optimal way is like how Zach did, using a spreader. That just ensures you're getting total coverage of the CPU. Typically though, if I'm building a system, I just put a dot in the middle. Now, we have seen that change to like an X or even using the spreader because the CPU itself has gotten quite a bit longer. So they used to be more of just a small square. Now we're seeing them turn into longer rectangles. And so, you know, that does change how we want to apply the thermal paste to make sure we get total coverage.
Yep. Lord Shoot asks, says answered the code and it said it wasn't valid. The code is going to be Horus, Horus dash, and then the 4 letters, which of course were JHQY. But again, that was limited, so it was limited to 100 people. So the first 100 people to redeem it get it. Now we've got, you know, well over 100 people watching between all the platforms. So of course it's a race. You've got to be fast. Got to copy that down. Make sure you've got your giveaway page up and ready. And don't worry, if you missed it, there'll be more throughout the day. I've got one today for my stream, which will be great. Depending on how many people we end up with. Oh yeah, I have a 50 and I have an unlimited left. Interesting. It definitely doesn't have a W, EJ. What? Yes. JHQY. Yeah, Horus does not have it. I'll get there eventually. God. All right, now, one of the things we are going to be doing, as you can see with the way that the radiator is mounted now, what are the different methods of mounting that radiator, and where can you also put that in this case?
Yeah, so in this case, we have quite a few options, even though it's a 360. So we can go on the top, in the side, or on the bottom. Now the top is obviously where we want to put it, because if there's any air in this that just comes from the factory, it's going to stay up here and not go to our pump. If you get air going to your pump, it can cause some damage. Not something to, you know, freak out about or anything. If you had to put this in the bottom, it would work. But we like to put it in the top there. We also like that because it's going to be exhausting the air out as well.
Yep. And let me ask, because we've done it both of those ways in previous streams, because mine is laterally or vertically mounted.
Yeah, we have yours on right here in this section because we have a push pole. So, you know, adding another fan width to the radiator could cause it to bump into these shiny heat sinks and even your memory here.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I will say, so here's a good question, because I got asked this on stream last week and I kept forgetting to bring it up to you. So with the arrangement like this, obviously the AIO is pushing, you know, blowing all the hot air up past the radiator and out the top. Heat rises and the heat from the radiator is going to rise anyways. But with it on the back, now we did a push pull, but it's blowing that hot air into the case. So does that have a really dramatic effect? And does that push pull actually help keep it cooler?
So just it being a push pull will help it be cooler. Now, if you have it like in your situation where we're intaking through the radiator, obviously that radiator is going to get the coldest air because it's coming from the outside and then it's going into the case and exhausting out. So it's just kind of, you kind of like pick your poison. Do you want the radiator to get the freshest air and then also maybe heat up a little bit of your case, or do you want it, the opposite way where it's exhausting it out? Both arguments are valid. It's just kind of, whatever you think is best. We like to do it this way. I think it looks the best. And as far as performance goes, it does just fine.
Nice. Nice. All right, now you can see Zach's already getting started with the cable management. So, Zach, walk us through what the first things are you get connected and get lined up for bundling when it comes to this case.
Yes, so on this case, because it does have essentially four hard drive trays, I'm going to get all of those SATA ports plugged in, whether those are, I'll get them set up, whether they're power or data transfer lines. I usually use the Velcro strap on all data transfer lines. Being a server man, I want to protect the cable over having a zip tie, maybe being able to cut through the housing a little bit. And I'll get those down out of the way so I don't have to worry about them. And then I'll move to the rest of the case. And I'm going one eyelid at a time. And whenever I know something needs to go into the case, whether that be like a USB Type 3, Type C, then I'll pull that out and make that go where it needs to be. But essentially just trying to make it clean, and just not bundled together, but organized together. Organized together is a big help over just being bundled together.
Nice. And we do have a couple questions coming in from the green sign. First, Black Dino, welcome, said, how many locals do we have in these streams? Like ones that are in the same area as CLX? That's a good question, people. And while we get an answer for that for people in the chat, Stude Island says, DJ, I'm on the phone today, so I can't tell what color headphones we're rocking today. It is a CLX day, so I matched my my CLX windbreaker with my black and red Astro A40s. So,
classic.
Yeah, we were goofing off talking about, because I have different headphones I wear on different days. So, yeah, I just wanted it to all match. Now, Scott Wynn says, I'm definitely excited for my first server, though. Been wanting one for a while.
Nice.
Any tips or tricks on building a first server?
Not really. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing as another PC. Typically, obviously, with a server, you're going to have more drives. So, just make sure you've got space in your case for all those drives and proper cooling for them. Maybe have a fan blowing across the drives if you can. But really, it's the same principles.
Nice.
The only thing that I would say, which is a difference from me building it compared to someone building it, I always plug in every cable. So all of the SATAs, I'm making sure that those are plugged in just so that you can always have the room to expand. It kind of sucks if you build it up initially with just enough stuff to hold your initial stuff, and then a year, 2, 3 years down the road, once you have all your drives full and you need to add more and you actually have to get back inside it to add more cables, it's kind of a bummer. So just like fill everything up as much as you can.
Nice. Let's see here. So Blood Song 420, took me a second to figure out what that was. It says, would you guys say the ARC A770 16 gig is an upgrade over the RTX 3070 8 gig? Or the reverse?
So I think your 3070 is probably going to perform better in most applications there. That being said, obviously the A770 has more VRAM, so that can be you know, that could be beneficial in some applications, but I think most that 3070 is going to perform better than the A770 will. The A770 is kind of competing with, I believe, like the 3060 and 4060-ish line. Yeah. More of like that mid-tier. The 3070 is that in between like mid-tier and high-end. So, yeah.
And the other thing that you should also look at is, are you playing newer stuff or older stuff? If you're playing older stuff, the ARC might not support it. But they are advancing, like, every update is like,
like some crazy
it's
big
a
thing,
sweet
yeah.
update.
Yep.
So
Looks like Lord Shoot is actually also in Portland. Yo, what's up? Pacific Northwest in the house. And yeah, Dirty Yankee, the PDX of my name is the Portland Airport code. So yeah. It just so happened when they named me, when the club named me, there was four or five other DJ Blues around the country. So they had to differentiate me from them, and so I just added PDX at the end of it. So let's see. How did you get connected with CLX, and what do you do with them? Well, I'm their host. I do voiceover work and interviews for live events periodically, and yeah, I'm also CLX partner. They obviously made this beautiful beast behind me. I met them in 2018 at DreamHack Atlanta when I was there doing research for the Halo Outpost Discovery project, and that was when I ran into them. And then, of course, for Outpost Discovery, I realized, well, we need somebody to run PCs. We need PCs for the show because we're going to have the at the time the brand new Halo Reach on PC demo going. And so I reached out and they said sure, and they toured with us every city for all 5 cities. It was actually really, really awesome. And so then we kind of sort of brainstormed about things that we could do, and they approached me, was it last year? No, it was a year ago last year. No, it was last year. Because we started this in June of last year, right? We haven't done this for a whole year, have we? No.
Maybe. I feel like every time we talk about how long we've been doing it, it's always, oh my gosh, it's been that long.
all right.
You had like a winter storm. I remember you sent a picture in on the Discord, right?
Oh yeah, so we
So
have
it's
been doing
gotta
this
be
for over a
close
year.
to
We've been doing it
that.
for almost a year and a half.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was July. Yeah, Outpost was so fun. We had such a blast with Halo Outpost Discovery. Yeah, so that's how I met them all. And I'm now part of the CLX family, and I'm very, very happy about it. And of course, and you all hear me just constantly screaming about my computers being awesome because the FPS I can pull on this thing is just wild. So, with the exception of Alan Wake, but I feel like everybody's having that problem with Alan Wake. Well, Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 1 was incredible. Will you be doing anything to lessen power in response to Scott, who mentioned he's recycling his old PC, and it's an i7 7700 with a 960 thrown in to just have video and 64 gigs of DDR4 RAM. So he beats it for a small server. BC Murray asks, will you be doing anything to lessen power consumption? Is that a thing you should really be focusing on?
Probably if you start adding in a bunch of extra drives, you know, you probably don't have to worry about it until you've got like, I don't know, 6 or more, maybe even more than that. So.
And yeah, I absolutely, I am a testament to the fact that their PCs are rock stars. Their PCs are just legit rock stars. Scott's got an 8 terabyte at the moment. Nice.
Yeah.
There we go.
And especially if you've got that 8-on-1 drive, like you're solid. Just when you start getting in multiple, a ton of extra drives that all require their own power. But yeah, not something I would worry about.
Yep. Shasta. What's up, Shasta? I have a total of 8 terabytes in your computer? Yes, you do. And where'd you get that PC from, Shasta? I forget there's a delay over there. CLX, get it good.
That's
right. Remember
We
when a
built his on the
500
show.
gigabyte storage was a lot? You were a pimp with that. If you had a 500 gigabyte storage, now it's like, it's a thing. So, as far as what you've got in your hand, let's talk about that. That is a 1,000-watt gigabyte, 80-plus gold power supply unit. Paul, what can you tell us about this? What's in this box?
All right, so like I said, this is a 1,000-watt gigabyte, 80-plus gold, fully modular power supply. So inside of here, we're going to have our power brick, and then our cables are going to be separate because it's modular. So let me get these fans out of the way. So we go through here. Looks like we've got an included cable for our 12-volt high power. This is for the new video cards, usually like the 4090s. Some 4080s use it. We'll find out if this one does. Really nice that Gigabyte started including these. That way we don't have to run, 3 or 4 8-pin connectors to a dongle. So we'll see if we need this.
Yeah.
So here is our power supply brick. This is the actual power supply itself. All of our cables you can see are separate in here. We'll get those out in a little bit. But this is what you're looking for when you're going with modular. So what this does, I'll get this plastic off so you can see it a little better. We have all of our ports for our power cables for everything, 24-pin, CPU, all the good stuff. So what this does is allow us to just use the cables that we need and don't have to use the rest. We'll include the rest in the accessories in case the customer ever needs them, but yeah.
I'm truly laughing about what Tanner said over on the red side. He says, you guys should open a CLX PDX. Like, I mean, technically, two times a week. This is a CLX remote studio, so there we go. Not even sure what that dance move was, but it was terrible.
So.
Yeah.
Should be. I think we got this.
It's been forever since I've used one, but yeah, we'll find out.
Here, give me all these.
Yeah, I'll give you all the fans.
Oh, wow, Greg.
Because you are fantastic.
I knew you were going
My
to
review
go there.
was yesterday.
Can't help myself.
All right. This, of course, is an NVIDIA RTX 4080 by the wonderful people over at MSI.
Sure is.
One would call this an MSI build.
MSI.
Yep.
The MSI special. All right, so we'll get in here.
But all dark PCs require white. Dang it,
Yeah.
Hawaii, good Lord. Now that was a good thing that Greg mentioned. Says I have old games in my drawer for like 90 to the early 2000s, and most of them are 100 megs or less, which means they're on a thing called a floppy drive, and I'm not even sure how you would get that data off of those floppy drives.
Yeah. I'm sure you can find some like floppy disk drive to USB something. Floppy disk adapter.
All right.
Yes.
Speaking of the B and USB, this card is a beast. So tell us a little bit about this card. It looks heavy.
Yeah, this is decently heavy. It's a larger card. We will definitely be taking advantage of the anti-sag bracket in here. We've got 3 DisplayPort and 1 HDMI on our back. Pretty common to see on every video card now. 3-fan model. Really good backplate, good weight to this, and then this does have that single high power connector that we will be using from Gigabyte. So if we didn't have this, we'd have to use this 3 8-pin dongle. It works just fine, but looks a little ugly. So anytime you can use a single cable, it's very nice to have.
You said they're on the CDs, Greg? Well, that's good. I was thinking, all I could think of was, oh God, these are like, OG soft floppies. Which is kind of funny. Now you see that bracketed bar that's up there at the top of the motherboard. From this perspective, that is our anti-sag bracket that we installed the base first of. So right now, Zach, walk us through what you're doing and what you're looking at and what you're looking for to determine where you're going to mount this.
So the first thing that I like to do is make sure that we are clipped in. As you saw, I did have to take a little pick. The reason for the pick is because all of these heat sinks get pretty tall, and it's pretty hard to get a finger down here sometimes. A lot of companies have been kind of making a new button design, which is a lot easier of a mechanic. But with this one, I had to go ahead and lift it up to make sure that it was latched in place. And then I will mount it to the case via its front. And then the last thing I do is organize the anti-sag bracket. The reason for doing it in that order is you just want to make sure that everything is fully seated. And in the correct position before you do your sag bracket. You don't want it to be all cockeyed in there.
Yeah. Now, of course, anti-sag brackets are important because you want to keep your graphics card from breaking your motherboard. So, Paul, why are they important?
So yeah, it's really, once we started to see video cards get a lot bigger, we started noticing damage in shipping and even just regular handling. This card would wiggle around and it would actually break off the PCIe slot on the motherboard. So that's really when we started having to use anti-sag brackets and why they're so common now. I mean, a lot of video cards, like this MSI one includes this. We'll go ahead and, we're not going to be using it, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out to show you guys. This is an example of a not very good anti-sag bracket. So you can see this is what it is, and these holes line up with the side. We can actually go back to an overhead real quick and I'll show you how this would install. So essentially this goes in, slide this forward a little bit. This would go in and it would mount here and it would just provide a little bit of support. But as you can see, there's no support on this side. So this really doesn't provide much extra support, which is why we like to use the ones that mount to the motherboard. It'll still sag with this, so yeah, if you can use one of these, like this is a Leon Lee one, it obviously comes with the case. Great option to use.
Like we used one on my 3090.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, anybody who wants to take a look at the actual build out, that link in the chat will take you to what this build looks like. And so there is a conversation going on in the green chat about the possibility or option of running a virtual machine. Like if you have older software that's only compliant with, say, Windows XP, that's a thing you could do, right?
Yeah, for sure. You can
run
you can run like a virtual
shell
machine and then put whatever operating system you want on that virtual machine, and yeah, you can use XP. A lot of people do that on Macs as well. They'll have kind of a dual boot system. That way you can still have Windows on your Mac. Yeah.
Ooh, I did that once with my old laptop, my Intel MacBook Pro. First of all, the Intel MacBook Pros just. You did anything on them for very long and they got very, very hot. Whatever reason, they just did. So when I put Parallels, which is what I used for my virtual machine to go back and forth between Windows and Parallels is incredible for that if you're doing it on a Mac. But man, if I pulled up Parallels on that thing, oh my dear Lord, it was hard to touch the keyboard. It got so hot. And it didn't shut down, but yeah. I haven't bothered to look into putting it on the new Mac with the M2 Ultra or whatever's in there. Yeah, Parallels is great. Boot camp, out. You have your first ever gaming PC, and it's a Dell 9100.
Nice. Get a solid 15 frames per second back in the day.
Oh, yeah. So many jokes that I'm not allowed to make. Yeah, there we go. Let's see here.
I remember going over to a buddy's house back in the day and he was getting 30 FPS and WoW, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so smooth. I was playing at like 10 to 12.
Right? Yep. We have a smart TV upstairs. It's a Sharp, and it was the Quattro Pro Sharp 70-inch TV, but it has a 240 hertz smart mode, so it will take, if it's only getting a 60 FPS input, it will generate more frames so that you've got this ultra smooth look to it. Well, I had been used to playing, with my Xbox 360, I had been used to playing, on our TV downstairs, and it was, 60 FPS at best. Usually, I think they pulled between 35 to 45 on the average in a heavy game. So when I went upstairs to play BioShock in 3D, which in the dark is terrifying, by the way, it was wild because I had to turn all my sensitivities down because I was moving so much differently since I had more frames to work with, which blew my mind. I didn't understand why until I finally started looking into what has it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I had like a similar experience. I was a PC gamer, but I always had an Xbox as well that I gamed on. And so I was always running both, but Dark Souls 3 was the one. I got Dark Souls 3 on Xbox One or whatever it was at the time. And cool, loved it. And then we got together with some buddies. We were all playing, and he was playing on his PC, and it was just so much smoother. And that was the game that was like the nail in the coffin for consoles for me. It's like, oh, and I rebought Dark Souls. I bought Dark Souls 3 a second time just so I could play it on PC and have that smooth frame rate.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's so. Boomer check. Who remembers when 512 megabits per second internet connections were the greatest thing ever? Well, I'm gonna be honest. That's not really a boomer thing. The boomers sort of trying to figure out what the heck email is. That is more my generation, like a Gen X and beyond thing. But yeah, I remember. So I used to work for a phone company called US West that was part of the Ma Bell, Bell Communications, which had a monopoly for the longest time. So US West, we had DSL, and that was one of our products. And I laughed so hard because, we were jazzed. If you could get 256 up and down, oh my Lord, wild. And then you see the 512s, just like, that's insane. And at no point in time would we have ever thought, we need more speed. Now, good Lord, you try and run anything on the internet now on that level of speed, it's, it goes back to dial-up style. Yeah, Wolven, exactly.
Can't load your MySpace.
Mom picks up the landline and your internet goes away. Yep.
Sad.
Mom, I was right in the middle of a game.
IT crowd up all night.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. Getting all those cables in, as you can see right there. And the TBPS. Dial-up was an exercise in futility. It truly was. And then you saw people who would buy it, who would have a second phone line installed, so they could just leave their computer online all the time and not worry about it. It's like, good Lord, people. Ivory, however, is fast. His internet is fast enough to claim for 150 people. It's Horus-QOFL. That is Quality, Orlando, Florida. That is for 100 entries for the first 150 people to log into the website and enter that. So use it and use it quickly. Everybody's like, we're not paying attention. Just kidding. Do you remember when software on discs, Pepperidge Farm remembers? God, yeah, I still have. Geez, what was I? Oh, it was when Windows 10 was first coming out, right? I was at PAX. I was at PAX West, I want to say, and I asked a really good question, and I won this little thumb drive, and it was a tiny little thumb drive. And Major Nelson, who has just recently retired, by the way, but handed me this little thumb drive, and he says, "Here, it's Windows 10." All of it on this? It's like, yeah. I was just baffled. Absolutely baffled. Yeah, right? Oh, it is QOFL. FL like the abbreviation for Florida. Florida. You raced NASCAR 4 on dial-up? That is reasonably terrifying. I mean, but we've also seen terrifying in that frames per second level conversation, because that was what we noticed when we were walking by that one guy at DreamHack Dallas this last summer, and his machine was, he was playing something, and his machine was maybe getting what, Ivory, 11, 15 frames per second at best. like it was all three of us just stopped in motion and looked and went, oh yeah, no, this guy's getting the upgrade right here. This is this is terrible. This is hard to watch, which was really cool. I'm really hoping we get to do that again. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that man was playing a slideshow. Really, really was. Because we were looking, and I had some ideas, and oh my, we walked by, and that was it. There's our last one. Oh my goodness. GameSpot wasn't the old show on TV about video game reviews. Was it? I think, yeah. Well, and there was a couple different shows about video game reviews back on what was it, Q4?
G4.
Like G4.
Q4, yeah, Q4.
Yeah.
G4, that's what it was. G4. It was yeah, and I was super jazzed when G4 made a comeback for a hot minute, and then it just died. Yeah, GameSpot and XPlay. There we go. Yeah.
I thought G4 turned into G Fuel.
Oh, sure not. No.
No? Okay.
Right? Hand on the shoulder. You were our CLX. Little Funzo. Hello. What's up? Welcome in over on the purple side. Try playing TF2 on Windows 2000. Oh. That's just saying that is stressful.
Microsoft Excel Flight Sim.
Hello. Yeah, it's the one thing that I will always be happy about is the fact that Windows Millennium is not a thing any longer. That was probably the worst operating system I have ever had to deal with in my life. It was just awful.
The world was gonna end. No one knew what was gonna happen.
Right? Good to see you again, little Fonzo. Cheers, my dude. Kill Dog. Would it be wrong if I were to get a replacement PC from CLX when my warranty is about to end?
No.
Nope. Yeah, sometimes that is a thing. And for anybody who is wondering, by the way, about our warranty policy, all of our PCs come with a 1-year parts and then lifetime technical support and labor. So you can up that to 3 years parts if you'd like. That is just step that warranty up a little farther. Always healthy. Now, obviously, while we've been talking, Zach's managed to get those rear 3 intake fans. Now we're hooking up the rear exhaust fan. The last 3 are going to go on the very, very bottom, also providing some fresh air up into the fans on the graphics cards. So, does it come with an extended warranty? That's we're calling about your PC's extended warranty. Now, one thing that I always wondered until we started doing the show was why the fans, because the fans look really cool on the graphics cards, right? But why is it the fans were always facing down? You couldn't see anything. And well, why is it that they need to be facing the bottom for the best heat reduction?
So those fans are just in that way because obviously the way this GPU mounts to the motherboard, but that's actually going to be bringing, so this fresh air in, Zach's installing those intake fans right now. It's going to be blowing fresh air in, and then these are also going to be taking that fresh air and blowing it across the video card and cooling it.
Yep. Now, as airflow goes for this, we're going to end up having 6 fans blowing in through their filtrations, and then we're going to have 4 exhausting. So as far as pressure, because this is something that I know doesn't truly matter a whole lot, but positive pressure on a system can be very helpful in keeping it cleaner. Why is that?
Yeah, so positive pressure means we've got more air coming into the system than we do leaving it. So what that means is on our intakes here, which are these fans and then the 3 fans Zach's installing at the bottom, we're going to have these dust filters that come in. So all the air coming in the case is going to be filtered. If we had this in the opposite way, where we had 6 exhaust and 4 intakes, that would be more air coming out of the system, which would create a vacuum. So air would be being sucked into this computer from all these little cracks and crevices, and so that air obviously won't make it through a dust filter, so it causes your system to get a little bit more dusty and have to clean it a little bit more often.
Let's see here. Sasko asks, do you find vertical mounting affects heat a lot for the GPU?
Honestly, not really. You know, there's probably is maybe a degree, maybe 2, depending on your case, a difference there. But yep, nothing really noticeable. And vertical mounting just looks really cool too.
Let's see here. Yes. She's just blessing the parts? Yes, also true.
Yep.
Now, as far as the arrangement of the fans going in, Zach has something that he does that's pretty spectacular and pretty great when it comes to organizing how they're plugged in for maintenance purposes. Zach, what is that?
So I like to start at the rear exhaust fan as fan number 1. I will be combining 2 of our 8 fan controllers. So I like to start as fan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and however many, and go in a circle. It just makes it a lot easier for if you have to troubleshoot your fans for either not glowing or not spinning. Then you're not having to just unplug cables randomly. You know which cable belongs to which fan, so it makes it a lot easier to just work on afterward.
I do love how that bottom frame just pops into place. It's great. Now the filtration on this device is pretty intense and pretty cool. There's a filter down, a slidable removable filter down on the bottom of the case right there, and then of course on the sides and the top there are magnetic sheets, and these are really super effective, incredibly effective.
Yeah, these are really nice for your system, and they're also just super easy to take out and clean. So this one goes on the top. You just slap it on there. It'll use the magnets to hold it down. Pull it off, wipe it down, rinse it off, whatever you want to do to clean it, and then just put it back on there. Really easy to do.
Philip Strzeski says, I like fans better than liquid cooling cords everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that thing that they like. Oops. Not that I did not turn off my notifications. That's my bad. There we go. So, and we've got a bunch of weather situations happening around the country. How many people are experiencing snow so far?
We have.
Right?
I'm super shocked. Bridget and I were talking about that. The fact that it was like a good 5 to 8 inches across the city.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like when was the last time we got a dusting?
Yeah, years.
Yeah.
Typically when we get snow, it's gone.
Yeah, you
like
get that kind
afternoon.
of snow here, and Portland shuts down.
And it also wasn't like a blizzard either, because that's like the one thing with us being a flat land is it'll get going sideways real fast.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
this weekend it did not.
I think the worst scene I've ever seen was when I was staying up in downtown Seattle with a friend, and it just poured snow, and we couldn't get down the hill to get to the train station because it was just ice everywhere. Ice, and all you see is just cars sliding down the hills. For those of you who don't know, Seattle has a lot of really, really, really steep hills. It's very San Francisco-esque, and my God, it's really nuts. So post a little gerbil squirrel. I'm not sure what that even. Maybe is that a possum?
The rat jam.
Everybody wants that code. Ratcham. 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 Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to the snow this year or not. The last time that we had a really big blizzard here, we lost power for 3 or 4 days.
Whew.
No, that was back when the puppies were just, 6-8 months old, and yeah, that was truly scary. But I did discover that the big green egg can be used in the middle of an ice storm, and I cooked everything on that thing.
Nice.
I had, because I knew that it might happen, I had been smart enough at the time to charge up all of my portable batteries, because I have portable batteries I always take with me to cons, so I don't have to, take a charging cord with me. But yeah, that was a plus.
Okay.
Emperor Palpatine, good style. Yes. Look at that. It's an unlimited code with 200 entries into our giveaway, and that is Horus-4 Nat. Number 4, N-A-T. It's a really good one. That would have been fun to use in a word puzzle. We got another code, by the way, on my stream later on today. It'll be a word puzzle once again, so hopefully you guys have all got your creativity hats on. That sounded so cool. Hope you're wearing your creativity hats. But I asked why you installed 10 fans. I'm going to say that's because the customer asked for it.
Yeah, so we offer this case in a 7 fan or a 10 fan configuration. So if you're ordering one, you can, pick from either of those.
And Chili Sam says, as a Finnish person, I point and laugh at your snow weakness. That is also true. It's an accurate statement.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, one thing to talk about real quick, because you'll be able to see it from the top. Oh, no, not this one.
Sorry.
But you'll notice that at the front, no, you're good. At the front and back of this case, there are feet. There's 2 barred feet there to give it some space underneath there. So when it comes to ensuring that you've got proper airflow, you're really getting that clean air up into that graphics card and into the case. Paul, what's the best place to put it on and or to mount it?
Yeah, so typically you're going to want that on a flat, hard surface. So, if you got shag carpet and something like that, you don't want to put this PC on there. You want to keep that gap under the feet as much as possible to just get good airflow in. So if you got like really thick carpeting or something, you can put down a piece of cardboard, a couple tiles, piece of wood, whatever you got going around. I've seen people use a giant storage bin lid. That's a little janky, but it works. So.
Yep. Vex is 41 degrees right here and no snow on the ground. Well, it needs to be 32.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it hit freezing last night. My housemate and I were yesterday making sure we have all the hoses unplugged and the little caps on our water so it doesn't pop and blow up. But it's funny because we have InstaHeat for all of our water intakes. And this morning getting in the shower, just turning it on, and it was the slowest getting warm ever. It's been a very long time since since last winter, and it just takes forever to get up 3 floors, and it's wild. You use spare flooring from the for the longest time? Yeah, Stewed Island, I have mine on sample tiles, little ceramic sample tiles. Yeah. Oh, Vex says it's usually below 0 at this time of year. Oh, wow. Wow, that is warm. So, I know that there's the El Nino versus the El Nino. There's going to be a different path, but man, I'll tell you what, it is getting colder here faster than it did last year. That's for darn sure. Imagine not having pipes designed for sub-zero temperatures. Well, Ivory, not all of us can live in
the North Pole.
Yeah, so I was to say the home of the abominable snowman, but yeah. Well, and also this house is 111, 113 years old. So, yeah, -4 Celsius. Good God. That is not fun. I used to live in a city called Bend, Oregon, for a little while when I was helping set up a call center for Apple out there. And I remember the last day that I decided I was going to be there. I woke up, turned the news on for the morning news. I was making breakfast, and he said, well, today's high is going to be -4 degrees. I said, and we're done. I'm out. Thanks. This has been great. I'm moving back to Portland. It was ridiculous. I don't do well in super, super cold weather. Outside. Inside, love it. Because I can leave my window open and then my bedroom is cold. I like to sleep in the cold. I just don't like to be cold. Yeah, I left all the windows down here open last night on accident. And Kevin's off work today because he was on call at the hospital this weekend. And he's like, by the way, you realize you left the windows open last night downstairs? And it is freezing down there.
Time to play computer games.
Well, crap. Right? Yeah. Like, I'm going to put on some really very tasking computer games and turn on my little blue heater over here. Yeah. I think the worst part with winter storms is when you get them and they're not hardcore, you know, where it just never gets above 32. Like in those situations, yeah, you get compressed snow, but you get it to snow. Whereas in Oregon, it likes to be down in the 20s at night, snows like crazy, and then right in the middle, about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it warms up to 33 or 34 for about 4 hours. And then it starts to drop back down again. So now you've got this melted snow on top of ice, and it just becomes a nightmare. And the amount of people who don't know how to drive in snow drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's the worst. We typically get a lot of ice here more than snow, so yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. And ice storms are never fun either.
When I was living in Missouri, you had to be really cautious going up and down the hills in the valleys because down at the bottom of the valley, that road is usually cambered. And if you're going slow enough, you start sliding that way. And just so you know, the lake is on the bottom side, so people would just slide right into the lake.
Gosh. Actually, I saw a was it a YouTube short? No, a Facebook short. These guys were out there skating on what looked like an iced over roadway, and some lady comes flying by, right? Drives right on by in an Audi, and all you hear him say is, does she not know that does she really think this is a road?
Oh no.
Nope. And you see her car from the security cam on the other, like, because when you pull, there was a cam on the other side, and you see her car just go, dunk. Like, lady, this is a river. This is not a.
Oh no.
This is not a driveway. Yeah, kind of wild. Yeah, if you've ever stood on an ice lake and heard that crack, you know it is time to go. But where we're going, we don't need roads. Absolutely accurate, sir. All right, getting that final tie-up done here. There we go. Yeah, this is going to be a great build. Very, very powerful build. By the way, I got farther into Alan Wake 2. Oh my gosh. That game is relatively terrifying. Like, there are some jump scares in there that I just, definitely screamed at. I'll be doing more of that this weekend. Yeah. It's going to look great when it's powered on. I fully agree.
This is going to be the Red Dragon. MSI motherboard, MSI graphics card, and a raw case. This is a Red Dragon.
A brave DJ never screams. That's right. And I am not DJ Brave, I'm DJ Blue. By the way, what Paul's holding right there is that lower bottom filter that goes right there like that. And it helps keep the hair out of things. Now, I will say this as an interesting thing. So with the, because I've got the push pull blowing in, it's very, very heavily positive pressure in there, and there is still no dust, none.
Beautiful.
Which is kind of wild. I figured, you know, it would start to accumulate, but nope, not at all. Filters are great. All right, getting all the rips off.
Oh yeah.
Now, the one thing I do want to talk to you guys about is how you can get your hands on one of these amazing machines. So let's take us over to the website at CLSgaming.com. We try and make it as easy as possible for you to get the machine of your dreams. And that means making sure that everything meets your needs and is what you require. Whether you're choosing an Intel or AMD system, whether you are choosing, NVIDIA or Radeon, we've got everything that you'll possibly need, and you don't have to be an expert to use it. We've got a really brilliant compatibility system built into the site. So you see how that green button went yellow? That's because you chose two different things that weren't necessarily compatible. So in this respect, the graphics card is a 4080, the power supply is a 750 watt. Well, it requires more power to use that card. So what it's going to say is, all right, you can choose one of these power supplies that will work with this graphics card, or you're going to need to choose one of the following graphics cards that will work with this power supply. Once it's solved, it goes back to green and it goes right on in, so there's no compatibility issues at testing. And we've got tons of stuff. You can order your system to be overclocked by the GPU, overclocked for the CPU, closed loop, open loop, liquid cooled systems, air cooled systems if you want. We've got a peripherals page that is bar none absolutely fantastic, with everything from t-shirts and windbreakers like this to streaming gear. We've got capture cards, we've got beacon mix creates and beacon mics, headsets, routers, USB devices, you name it, we've got it. And it's all in one spot. But if that sounds too complicated, don't worry, you don't have to build your PC. We have what's called ready to ship models we have dozens of different designs and build outs that you can adjust. If you want to adjust a little bit of something in there, easy to do, but they're all right here ready to find a new home, and who knows, that home could be yours. So for all your future PC needs, head on over to clxgaming.com and let's get you set up for tomorrow. Here we go. Okay, Paul's over there working on getting all the fingerprints and things off.
Ja.
DJ Blue for president. I don't think I have the patience for that. Another read, well done well. Thank you. Kind of make it up as I go along. All right, now this is the really cool part, because this is not the only. We have so many different designs for PCs. It's wild. And thank you, dude. I'm looking at getting back into doing book reads. But, all right. We get this all put together.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Let's see it. All right, here we go. Ooh, look it. That looks fantastic.
Beautiful.
I absolutely love it. That is great. All right, so let's go once again and take a look at what's going inside this amazing PC for Paul in Florida. This, of course, is a custom CLX Raw gaming PC on an 011 DXL full tower by Leon Lee. It has an i9 14900KF processor mounted on an MSI MPG Z790 Edge Wi-Fi motherboard with 32 gigs of DDR5 5600 RAM. It's got a total of 64 gigs. That's 2 sticks of it, and an NVIDIA RTX 4080 graphics card. Its operating system is mounted on a 1 terabyte Samsung 990 Pro M.2, and of course we also have a secondary storage in the back that is 4 terabytes on a 3.5-inch Western Digital Blue hard disk drive. Your CPU is going to be cooled by a CLX Quench 360 closed loop liquid cooler, and of course, those 10 Gamedeus Aeolus M2 fans, and it's all powered by a 1,000 watt gigabyte 80 plus gold power supply unit. Ta-da! All right, well, there we go. Now, as many of you know, this show is done in 2 parts. In just a few minutes, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, you're going to spend the afternoon with Zach as Zach continues to build all sorts of cool stuff. Then you'll come over and visit me. So, with that being said, you can find out all about our giveaways by !GiveHorus, and you can also make sure to catch up on all the latest and greatest that's happening with CLX Gaming on our socials. That's YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at CLX Gaming. We also have a great Discord with like-minded PC enthusiasts and gamers. It's discord.gg/CLX Gaming. Now, this show happens Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays, we focus on the green. Thursdays, we focus on the purple, but you can see us on both. And this show starts at 11 a.m. Pacific. That's 2 Eastern U.S. time. And we do this twice a week all over the place. Now, I will also be giving out a code later on today, and we've got another show coming up on Thursday, so super excited for that one. In the meantime, you can find us on Kick at kick.com/CLX Gaming, on Twitch at twitch.tv/CLX Gaming TV, and of course on YouTube at CLX Gaming, obviously. On behalf of everybody in production, that is Kyle and Jason, along with Paul and Zach, I'm DJ Blue PDX. Don't go away. We've got more coming up after the break. We'll be right back.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.